It is a Sunday morning that promises unbearable heat, the kind of summer day where the air hangs heavy and still, pressing down on the cobbled streets and red-tiled roofs. The date is June 28, 1914. To the casual observer, the world seems stable, locked in a rhythm of imperial grandeur and civilized progress. The great powers of Europe, Great Britain, France, Germany, Russia, and Austria-Hungary, are governed by monarchs who are cousins, by diplomats who speak the same languages, and by an intricate web of treaties that are supposed to guarantee peace. But this silence is a deception. Beneath the polished surface of ballrooms and military parades, the continent is a vast, decaying wooden structure soaked in gasoline, waiting for a single spark. We are in Sarajevo, a provincial capital at the edge of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, a city where the church bells of the West mingle with the muezzin calls of the East. It is a place of beauty, but today it is a place of deep, simmering resentment. Down by the Milyatka River, the water flows sluggishly, indifferent to the history about to be written on its banks. The sun is already high, baking the dust on the Apple Quay, the wide avenue that runs alongside the river. Crowds are gathering. They are a mixture of curious onlookers, loyal citizens, and silent enemies. They have come to see the heir to the Habsburg throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and his wife, Sophie. For the Archduke, this visit is a mix of military duty and a rare public celebration of his marriage. In the rigid, stifling court of Vienna, Sophie is treated as a commoner, often shunned because her blood is not royal enough. But here, away from the capital, Franz Ferdinand can have her by his side, treated with the honors of a future empress. He loves her with a devotion that is rare among royalty. Today is their 14th wedding anniversary. He looks at her in the open car, proud, unaware that his desire to have her next to him has placed her directly in the line of fire. However, the date chosen for this visit is a catastrophic insult, a detail overlooked by the arrogance of empire. It is St. Vitus Day, Vidovdan, a holy day of mourning and national pride for the Serbian people. It marks the anniversary of the Battle of Kosovo in 1389, where the medieval Serbian kingdom was crushed by the Ottoman Turks. To parade a foreign conqueror through the streets of Sarajevo on this specific day is salt in a 500-year-old wound. It is seen not as a visit, but as a provocation. And in the shadows of the crowd, amidst the cheering and the waving of handkerchiefs, there are young men who have been waiting for exactly this moment. They are not soldiers. They are students, poets, dropouts, some suffering from tuberculosis, all burning with a fever of nationalism. They belong to a movement known as Young Bosnia, supported by a shadowy organization in Serbia called the Black Hand. They have nothing to lose, and they believe that freedom requires blood. 7 conspirators are scattered along the Apple Quay, blending into the throng. They are armed with crude bombs hidden in their pockets and pistols tucked into their belts. They are nervous, their hands are sweating, they are barely out of their teenage years. Among them is Gavrilo Princip, a slight, intense young man of 19, with deep-set eyes and a thin face. He stands near the Latin Bridge, waiting. He does not know yet that destiny has marked him as the instrument of global collapse. He checks his pocket, feeling the cold metal of the Browning pistol. He also carries a small vial of cyanide, intended to silence him forever once the deed is done. The plan is simple: kill the Archduke, take the poison, and become a martyr for the unification of the South Slavs. But plans in the real world are rarely simple. At the train station, the Archduke and the Duchess board the motorcade. There are 6 cars in total. The security is laughably, tragically light. There are no soldiers lining the streets to hold back the crowds, only a handful of local policemen who are overwhelmed by the number of people. Franz Ferdinand, dressed in a general's uniform with a tunic of green peacock's feathers and a hat adorned with green plumage, rejects the idea of heavy security. He wants to be seen. He wants to be loved. He steps into the 3rd car, a dark, open-topped sports phaeton with Sophie beside him. The top is folded down. They are completely exposed.
The motorcade begins its journey toward the town hall, the engines humming, the tires crunching over the gravel. As they move on to the Appel Quay, the sun glints off the river. The Archduke waves. The crowd roars, some in welcome, some in defiance. The first two conspirators on the route freeze.
Fear, the density of the crowd, or perhaps a sudden policeman standing too close, causes them to hesitate. The motorcade passes them unharmed. The tension in the air is thick, invisible to the victims, but suffocating for the assassins. Then the cars approach the Kumarija Bridge. Here stands Nedeljko Chabrinovich. He is tall, impulsive, and determined. As the Archduke's car approaches, Chabrinovich pulls the pin from his bomb. He steps forward and hurls it. But his timing is off, or perhaps his nerves betray him. The bomb flies through the air, a dark object against the bright summer sky. The driver of the Archduke's car sees it and instinctively accelerates. The bomb strikes the folded roof of the convertible, or perhaps the Archduke himself deflects it with his arm. Accounts will later vary in the chaos, but it bounces off the back of the car and lands in the street behind them. Explosion. A thunderous crack echoes through Sarajevo.
The bomb detonates under the fourth car in the procession. Tires are shredded, metal is twisted, and the vehicle is disabled. Shrapnel flies into the crowd, injuring nearly 20 spectators and members of the entourage. The air fills with acrid smoke and the screams of the wounded. The motorcade slams to a halt. Panic erupts, only a few inches deep, and the cyanide is old and degraded. It only makes him vomit violently. The police and the angry crowd descend upon him, dragging him out of the mud, beating him severely before taking him into custody. It is a fiasco, a botched attempt by amateurs. In the lead car there is confusion, but Franz Ferdinand, showing a strange mix of bravery and stubbornness, orders the car to stop. He wants to see who is hurt.
He looks back at the wreckage, the blood on the street, the confusion. He is shaken, but he is alive. Sophie is terrified, clutching his hand. The security officers argue about what to do, but the decision is made to continue to the town hall as planned. The logic is insane by modern standards. The assassin has been caught, the danger is surely over. The motorcade speeds up, rushing away from the scene of the explosion, leaving the wounded behind. They drive past the remaining conspirators, including Gavrilo Princip. Princip sees the cars speeding by. He hears the explosion, but realizes the Archduke is still sitting upright. He grips his pistol, but is too slow. The moment has passed. The target has escaped. Dejected, Princip wanders away from the river, moving into the city streets, his mind racing with failure. The arrival at the town hall is a theater of the absurd. The mayor of Sarajevo, unaware of exactly what has happened, or perhaps in shock, begins to read his prepared speech, welcoming the Archduke with flowery language about the loyalty of the citizens. Franz Ferdinand explodes. He interrupts the mayor, his face red with fury and adrenaline. He shouts, "Mr. Mayor, I come here on a visit and I am greeted with bombs. It is outrageous." The room goes silent. The aristocracy, the officials, the generals, they all freeze. It is Sophie who calms him. She places a hand on his arm, whispering something that no one else hears. The Archduke regains his composure. He allows the mayor to finish the speech. It is a surreal interlude. While they stand in the cool reception hall, the police are interrogating the failed assassin, and the other conspirators are scattering, convinced the plot has failed completely. During the reception, a frantic discussion takes place among the Archduke's staff. What should they do next?
The sensible option is to cancel the rest of the visit, to evacuate the couple immediately, or at least to clear the streets with the army. General Potiorek, Bey governor of Bosnia, is humiliated by the security failure. His pride is wounded. He assures the Archduke that there will be no more attacks. He famously asks, "Do you think Sarajevo is filled with assassins?" However, a compromise is reached. They will cancel the planned visit to the museum. Instead, Franz Ferdinand insists on going to the hospital to visit the officers wounded by the bomb. It is a noble gesture, a decision driven by honor and compassion, but it is the decision that seals his fate. Sophie insists on going with him. She will not leave his side. "I go where you go," she says. There is one crucial detail, one small administrative error that changes history. The route to the hospital is different from the original route to the museum.
The drivers, however, are Czechs who do not speak German or Serbo-Croatian well, and no one informs them of the change. No one briefs the lead driver that they are supposed to stay on the Apple Quay, speeding straight along the river, avoiding the narrow city streets. It is a failure of communication, a bureaucratic oversight in the midst of crisis. The motorcade sets off again. The sun is now blazing overhead. The crowds have thinned in some places, but thickened in others, buzzing with rumors of the attack. The cars move fast along the river, safe and unreachable. Meanwhile, Gavrilo Princip has not fled the city. He has walked to a delicatessen and coffee shop on the corner of the Apple Quay and Franz Josef Street. He is standing there, perhaps buying a sandwich, perhaps just loitering, stewing in his frustration. He believes the opportunity is gone forever. He is standing exactly at the corner where the original route would have turned. He is just one young man in a crowd, invisible, anonymous. He has no radio, no way of knowing that the Archduke is coming back towards him. He is simply standing at the crossroads of coincidence. The motorcade approaches the Latin Bridge. The first car turns right into Franz Josef Street, following the original, cancelled route. The driver of the second car follows. Then the Archduke's car, the third in line, turns right as well. They are entering the crowded, narrow street, slowing down to navigate the corner. General Potiorek, sitting in the car with the royal couple, realizes the mistake instantly. He shouts at the driver, "What is this? This is the wrong way. We're supposed to go to the hospital. Stop. Turn around." The driver, confused and panicked by the shouting general, slams on the brakes. The car lurches to a halt right in front of the delicatessen. The gears grind as the driver tries to shift into reverse. The vehicle stalls for a moment, sitting motionless, a sitting duck in the middle of the street. Gavrilo Princip looks up. He cannot believe his eyes. 5 feet away from him, in an open car that has practically parked in front of him, sits the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The green feathers of his hat are unmistakable. Beside him is Sophie. It is as if the hand of fate has reached down and placed them there. There is no security between them, no police, just the open air. Princip does not think. He does not hesitate. Instinct takes over. He steps forward, raising the FN Model 1910 pistol. His hand is trembling, but the distance is point blank. He does not even aim. He turns his head away as he squeezes the trigger. Bang, bang. 2 shots ring out, sharp and flat against the stone buildings. The first bullet passes through the car door and strikes Sophie in the abdomen. The second bullet hits Franz Ferdinand in the neck, severing his jugular vein. For a second, nothing seems to happen. The Duchess remains seated upright. The Archduke sits still, looking ahead. The driver, finally engaging the reverse gear, begins to back the car away. Princip is immediately swarmed by the crowd. The police grab him, beating him, knocking the pistol from his hand. He tries to swallow his cyanide, but it is knocked away. He tries to shoot himself, but the gun is gone. He is dragged away, a prisoner. In the car, the reality of the tragedy unfolds in whispers. General Potiorek thinks the shots missed. He turns to the couple. Then he sees the blood. A stream of dark red shoots from the Archduke's mouth. Sophie cries out, seeing the blood on her husband. "For heaven's sake, what has happened to you?" she screams. Then she collapses, sliding off the seat onto the floor of the car. Franz Ferdinand, realizing she has been hit, tries to reach for her. His voice is gurgling, wet and thick. He pleads with her, a desperate prayer that will become legendary. "Sophie, Sophie, don't die. Stay alive for our children." His bodyguard asks him if he is in pain. The Archduke, stiffening as the life drains out of him, straightens his back. He repeats the phrase, "It is nothing. It is nothing." He says it 6 or 7 times, his voice growing fainter with each repetition, until it becomes a whisper, and then silence. The car speeds toward the governor's residence, the Konak, tires screeching, carrying 2 dying bodies and the death warrant of 10 million soldiers. The sun continues to shine brightly on Sarajevo. The birds are still singing. But the old world, The world of empires and waltzes and kings has just ended on a street corner, killed by a wrong turn and 2 pieces of lead. The roar of the motorcar engine fades into the distance, but the silence that descends upon the quay in Sarajevo is heavier than the noise. It is the silence of a held breath before a scream. In the streets, the police drag Gavrilo Princip away, his small frame almost crushed by the weight of the officers, his pistol kicked across the cobblestones. He does not look like a monster. He looks like a boy, pale and shaken, utterly unaware that the 2 bullets missing from his chamber have just dismantled the foundations of the civilized world. In the governor's residence, the Archduke breathes his last. There is no grand speech, no final decree, only a quiet slumping into the dark. Sophie is already gone. The blood on his tunic is dark and heavy, a stain that will spread across the map of Europe until it colors every river from the Marne to the Volga. The telegraph mines begin to hum. The message flies over mountains and borders, arriving in Vienna not as a tragedy to be mourned, but as an opportunity to be seized.
The old Emperor Franz Joseph receives the news with the stoic resignation of a man who has buried too many kin. But his generals see something else. For the Chief of Staff and the hawks circling the throne, the death of the Archduke is the key to a door they have long wished to open. It is the pretext to crush Serbia, to silence the agitation in the Balkans, to reassert that the Austro-Hungarian Empire is still a predator and not prey. They do not mourn the man, they sharpen their swords. But Vienna cannot act alone. The eyes of the diplomats turn north to Berlin. The German Kaiser, outraged by the murder of his friend and royal equal, offers his support without hesitation. It is a fatal error, born of arrogance and a rigid sense of monarchical brotherhood. He gives Vienna a blank check, a promise that Germany will stand by its ally no matter the cost. The German leadership believes the conflict can be contained, that it will remain a localized punishment of a rogue neighbor.
They calculate that Russia is not ready for war, that France is too divided, that Britain is too detached. They are gambling with the fate of nations on a bluff, unaware that the other players at the table have already begun to load their weapons. July passes in a strange, suffocating silence. It is a summer of deceptive beauty. The sun shines on the boulevards of Paris and the beer gardens of Munich. Aristocrats retreat to their spas, and farmers tend to their golden fields, unaware that the harvest this year will be one of iron and blood. Beneath this veneer of peace, the machinery of doom is being assembled. In secret meetings and encrypted cables, the terms of an ultimatum are drafted. It is designed to be impossible to accept. It demands that Serbia surrender its sovereignty, that it allow Austrian police to hunt on Serbian soil. It is not a diplomatic request, it is a declaration of war disguised as a note. When the document is delivered, the clock begins to tick.
48 hours. The world holds its breath. Serbia, desperate to avoid annihilation, agrees to nearly every demand, bending the knee in a humiliation that surprises even the great powers. But it is not enough. It was never meant to be enough. On July 28th, exactly 1 month after the shots rang out in Sarajevo, Austria-Hungary declares war. The telegraph wires scream once more. The illusion of a local conflict shatters instantly. The dominoes, aligned by secret treaties and military timetables, begin to fall with terrifying precision. Russia cannot stand by and watch her Slavic brethren be crushed. The Tsar, a man of peace but plagued by indecision, is pressured by his generals. He is told that to wait is to lose. He signs the order for mobilization. It is a decision made in a quiet room that sounds the alarm across a continent. The sound of thousands of boots marching to the railheads begins a low rumble in the east.
Germany, bound to its own rigid war plans, sees the Russian mobilization not as a precaution, but as an existential threat. The German war machine is built on speed. It cannot afford to wait. To fight Russia, they must first defeat France. The logic of the military overrides the desperate pleas of the diplomats. The Kaiser exchanges telegrams with his cousin the Tsar, begging for a halt, but the trains are already moving. The schedules of the railway lines now dictate the fate of empires. The mobilization orders are pasted on walls in Berlin and Paris. Men gather around them, reading the grim typography that commands them to leave their lives behind. There is a strange, manic energy in the capitals. Crowds fill the squares, cheering for war, waving flags, intoxicated by a nationalism that has been brewed for decades. They throw flowers at the marching columns. They shout for glory, believing in a short, sharp adventure. They believe they will be home before the leaves fall from the trees. They do not see the machine guns, the barbed wire, the industrial slaughter that awaits them. They do not know that the cavalry charges they imagine will be met with the cold mechanics of modern artillery. Finally, the circle closes. The German army, needing a path to France, marches into neutral Belgium. It is a violation that drags the British Empire out of its isolation. In London, the cabinet debates, but the sight of a great power trampling a small neutral nation forces their hand. An ultimatum is sent to Berlin: stop or face war. The deadline passes in silence. It is midnight. The old world has officially committed suicide. The intricate balance of power, carefully maintained for a century, has collapsed into a freefall. What began with 2 pistol shots in a dusty side street has ignited a conflagration that will consume the globe. The monarchs, the ministers, and the generals thought they were playing a game of chess, but they were sleepwalking toward a cliff. Now they have stepped off the edge, dragging millions of innocent souls with them. The lamps are going out all over Europe. We shall not see them lit again in our lifetime. The era of empires is ending, and the age of slaughter has begun. The sky above the continent darkens, not with rain, but with the shadow of what is to come. The trains whistle in the night, carrying a generation to the trenches, to the mud, to the end of innocence. History will not remember the intricate details of the treaties. It will remember only the silence that was broken and the screaming that followed. 2 bullets ended one life, but summoned the death of the world.